now. Believe it or not, the water temperature is warmer underneath in the water column than it is on the surface. Our GPS reads 53 degrees yesterday. I would venture that the water temperature in that 5 foot of water yesterday was probably 55 degrees at the bottom. And that's that thermal climb. I don't know why the temperature gets warmer. Biologists tell us why. I don't understand it. But a trout and a redfish can determine 1 or 2 degrees. So if it's 53 on the surface and 55 down a couple of feet, you're going to get a bite down there. It's just the way it is. The other place that in West Galveston Bay that's really, really nice is Confederate Reef. It's just south of Meekums. The very northwest end of Confederate Reef, it's marked number 2. Just about at that spot, there is 1 or 2 or 3 PVC pipes there that marks the very end of it. But that northwest end of Confederate Reef, if that's got a boat on it, you can move further down on Confederate and get out and wade. A great area. Unless the tide's moving on Confederate, either in or out, you're not going to catch any fish. Just if you get there and there's no tide movement, you need to go to Meekums and come back, or you need to be patient. If you can stake out Confederate and there's nobody there, you need to stay there for at least a couple hours, because it will happen. And there's been more 25, 26-inch trout. I don't understand why we catch 5 and 6s here all the time. We can't catch that big girl. And yet at the other end of West Galveston Bay, at that oyster lump shoreline, there's some big fish. So that day will come, I'm sure, but right now, if you want to catch a 24, 25-inch fish in the last week or 10 days, that's where they're at Confederate. You can do it in the boat, and you can do it out of the boat. I want to give you some information about West Galveston Bay and how to enter it. Most of your entrances have been closed over the years. There's one bait camp. It's called the Galveston Bait House, number 4, located just to the east of Confederate Reef. That's the best bait camp I know of on the coast right there that'll work for West Galveston Bay. Fat Boys, that used to be open, is now closed. There's another boat ramp about 300 or 400 yards south, and I'm not sure what it's called, but Fat Boys is still open. You can still launch there. There's just no bait. There's no ice. They've closed down. They've moved down 300 or 400 yards. Those are the only 2 places that you can probably launch to get into West Galveston Bay. I'm going to give you 4 coordinates and how to get into West Galveston Bay. There's one easy way. We access the ICW and we travel, north of North Deer Island. We come down the ICW until we come to Greens Lake, and we cut in through Greens Cut. That's the easiest way to get into West Galveston Bay. When you make that break into West Galveston Bay from the ICW, don't cut that cut short. Cut it in the middle. If you cut it short, the tide's out, you'll probably hit the sandbar. So just come in through the middle. There's another way to get into it that's a little shorter, and I'm going to give you 4 GPS coordinates. If you'll look at your map and you find South Deer Island and you find North Deer Island, all right, between those 2, there's 2 channel markers. One's marked number 1 and one is marked number 2. That's the entrance in the Old West Bay. That's the OICW. I'm going to give you 4 pole markings, and if you follow those 2 channel markers and these 4 pole markings, you can get into West Galveston Bay without any issue. The first one is North 29, 17027, West 94, 54, 157. So we got 29, 17, 027, got 94, 54, 157. That's a oyster bed marking. I don't know if the pole's there. If it's not, trust me, that's a safe marker. Number 2 is 2916, 590, 94, 54, 216. That's 2916, 590, 94, 54, 216. So what I've done, guys, I've lined up, that's number 1. Now I'm at number 2. And I've got the 2 channel markers back here coming off the ICW. So I've lined you up on number 1 and number 2. Here comes number 3. 2916, 182, 94, 55, 315. So you got 29, 16, 182, 94, 55, 315. And the last one, 29, 15, 592, 94, 56, 066. That's 29, 15, 592, 94, 56, 066. All right, here's what we got. We got the channel markers just off the ICW, red and green. And you've got 4 of them marked, and they're almost straight in line. You need to hug those. I don't care which side you hug them on. And you're going to get boat traffic coming at you. Y'all just need to be close. It don't matter. He knows he needs to be close, and you know you need to be close. Because you get outside there 10 or 12 yards, you're on sand. It's just, that's the old ICW. It's silted in, but if you follow those 4 channel markers, you'll probably end up just north of Confederate Reef number 2, and you'll be in 4 foot of water.
You want those markers on your left or right?
You just want to be on them. In other words, if you hit them, if you glance on them, it's all right. You just want to, and if they're not there, just, and you don't have to do it the first time. When you come through, you can puddle. I mean, you're only about a quarter of a mile through those 4 markers. But it's the old intercoastal. I marked it years ago. The only thing that's changed is the silt. But when you leave that bait camp,